Hey everyone, this is Bobo from the Mars server. I'm here to do a video on Hydra Transmutation. Yeah! A video long overdue. This is a video on the skill Hydra Transmutation for alchemists. So let's get started on how to train this skill and how to use it. Alright, so the first thing is to get Hydra Transmutation. In order to get Hydra Transmutation, you need to have rank 3 in Guard Cylinder Mastery to complete the Dark Transmutation quest. Hydra Transmutation uses clay crystals, a guard cylinder, and a regular cylinder. So yes, you absolutely do need to have a guard cylinder in order to use Hydra Transmutation, or you won't be able to. Now as for the skill itself, it basically summons what appears to be 4 little Ouroboroses that breathes out gas within a certain range. The range, the damage, and of course the ticks all depend on what your Hydra Transmutation level is. Now keep in mind that this is not a poison attack because you can actually stack poison attack on top of this damage as well as other skills like range missile. Hydra basically ignores passive defense, invulnerability, and mana shield. Also, if you use Hydra on an enemy that normally self-destructs, if you end up killing them, they won't explode. Alright, so now I'm going to show you guys some areas you guys can train Hydra. Here is one of the most popular places I used to train Hydra in. And I'll tell you guys why. I know it doesn't seem like an ideal place to go to. This is at Belvast, and it is at the Skadach beach area. You basically go to where the hornets are and use Flame Lock on them and kind of like group them all together. If you guys are not sure what Flame Lock is, it basically is where you just cast Flame Burst and cancel right away after the first Flame Burst. And once you do that, they're gonna kind of follow you, but they're not gonna aggro you. They're just gonna be like, derp derp. I don't know, but that flame lock totally makes me want to follow her. Now just keep in mind that sometimes it fails, and if that happens, just use Sunburst, guys. You know, don't panic, don't freak out, don't start to you know go nuts. Sunburst will basically kind of undo everything for you guys. And once you do that, go ahead and flame burst them again and group them all together. Once you have that all set up, they should be all in a nice little pile for you to Hydra. And how convenient is that to just have all the enemies come to you in one single spot. Once that's done, you guys are free to change channels and basically rinse and repeat the whole process again. This was my favorite spot because I didn't have to go to any instance and the enemies were fairly strong and tanky. Now keep in mind that the Flame Lock does not work on all enemies in Mabinogi. It just works on a few enemies, certain types of enemies. So if you try to use it on other enemies, just be very wary that it may not work for other types of aggros. Now another favorite spot is definitely, of course, the kitchen dungeon. This place is the one place that has a lot of high CP mobs, but they're kind of weak. You need to have at least a rank F cooking just to get the first pass, so you'll be able to enter the cooking dungeon. Now, the reason why I picked this spot is because, not only because of the CP thing, but because they're all in one spot area and they constantly spawn. Now, unfortunately, the downside is Gluis is in here with you, so he's not going to be your best friend knocking all the enemies out of your Hydra range. But if you have puppet skills like Crisis that can help you group the enemies together, or you can use other skills like Lullaby and have them stay still in one spot. And again, unfortunately, the enemies in this area are fairly weak, so they do die pretty quick. It's going to be hard to get a certain count of enemies to get hit by the Hydra. But the good thing is that the spawn rate is constant in here, so hopefully the count is not too much of a problem. But for me, they were just all over the place, so this is not really an ideal spot for me to train in. But if you're able to group them up and wear a decent amount of negative CP gear, this spot is actually a decent spot for Hydra training. Now another training method is to go into martial arts. I don't really recommend this method because it's a little bit more effort. You basically cast up a rain cloud and separate the healer from the group and just kind of, push her back, wind blast or firebolt her until she gets knocked back, until she starts to use a healing spell. And when she starts to do that, she's gonna heal the enemies, which therefore allows you to put down your Hydra and damage the enemies while the enemies heal at the same time. Unfortunately, you will probably have to go to a higher stage martial arts just to get the better effect, because the first round is probably going to be too weak for, you know, the Hydra. So that is why I said it's a little bit more effort to do this method in this run, and if you mess up, it can be a big pain in the butt to deal with a bunch of NPCs. Now the next method is probably one of the most popular methods, and it's in Sulfur Spiders. Sulfur Spider has the most amount of enemy spawns, technically, sort of, maybe. And all you gotta do is cast Divine Link and just kind of stand in the corner. All of these Sulfur Spiders will just go attack your pet in the corner and stay in one single spot. Easy peasy. Now if you don't have Divine Link or you don't have a pet, you can use yourself as a meat shield. It's gonna be much harder to do, but you know, it's still doable. Just tank it out, guys. So basically, once you have them all group up into the corner, you can drop down your Hydra and it'll damage the enemy. Now keep in mind that Hydra damages only a certain amount of enemies based off of your rank, so if your other Sulfur Spiders aren't getting damaged, it's because they need to waddle out of the gas and then get hit by the Hydra again from a new cast. So that's one thing to keep in mind, guys. It's not gonna kill all of your Sulfur Spiders because there's gonna be way too many. Now, here's a little tip, guys. Just kind of go over to the other side once you're done doing one side, because if you kind of stick to one side, there's going to be like remnants of your old Hydra perhaps, so you might want to like switch over to the other corner just to prevent them from getting hit by the old Hydra. And then just rinse and repeat, group them all together in one corner and drop your Hydra. The center room is not only a good place to train Hydra, but also the boss room. If you guys know how to work the Sulfur Spider boss, you basically knock back the Sulfur Spider boss enough until it spawns its little spider babies. Now here you guys can use the flame lock method just like the hornets and gather up the Sulfur Spiders all in one nice little pile. Just be careful of Mama right here, because she will need to be blinded if you don't want her to get affected by the Hydra, which you definitely don't want to, because you want to make sure she's alive so you can constantly keep knocking her back to summon more Sulfur Spiders. Now in order to do that, just do the same method, like I said, just sand burst her, and then she'll just be like, I can't see anything, what is happening to my babies? And then just kind of lure her little children into the corner. Once they're all in one nice pile, you can drop the Hydra, but always make sure that the big boss, Mama here, is not gonna walk into the Hydra with you. So if she starts to walk towards you, just kind of sandburst her and make sure she stays back. And then once you're done with this little pile here, you can continuously just keep firebolting her until she spawns more babies. Once you have enough spawns, you can just blind her and then rinse and repeat. Just start to gather them up again with Flame Lock and go through the whole process with Hydra. Now this is a very decent method because, you know, obviously it's in favor of group gathering. However, the only downside is CP. Some people may have a hard time finding the right CP for these enemies, and they can be either too low or too high or whatnot. So you're gonna have to definitely play around with negative CP gears, guys. It's a must-do for Hydra. Another downside for doing this dungeon is that it actually kind of takes fairly long and somewhat of an effort to get all the way to this boss room. So it's really up to you guys on how you want to train this thing. Just be careful of Mama, like I said. Now the most important thing I do want to talk about in terms of Hydra damage is overriding damage. This is one of the few things that people don't know about Hydra, is that Hydra in terms of damage is based off of priority of who places down the Hydra. So here in this video you can see that the lower rank Hydra player had put down his Hydra, and then the other higher rank Hydra player put it down right after. Having a higher rank Hydra does not matter. You guys don't stack your Hydra damage. It's basically whoever puts the Hydra down first does the damage. And since the second Hydra was placed down later, it does no damage afterwards whatsoever, unless it's hitting another player that was not in the first Hydra damage originally. This is very important because a lot of higher rank Hydra players cannot use their Hydra damage until the first Hydra is gone. So just keep that in mind when you place down your Hydra, guys. In summary, it's priority first, no stacking and no overriding with Hydras. So again, for example, I'm going to put down my Hydra, and a lower rank Hydra player is going to put down his Hydra, and you'll see that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't stack to my damage, it doesn't override my damage, but it is affecting a Birchhead on the far left because my original Hydra is not reaching Birchhead, but his is. So that's basically how it works. So here in this example, the lower rank Hydra player is going to put his Hydra down first, and then the next higher rank Hydra player is going to put theirs next, and then mine's going to be the last one that's going to be placed. As you can see, it's not doing any effect in terms of stacking or overriding for the damage. You'll see that it's just continuously taking the lower rank Hydra player damage, unless my Hydra is actually reaching the ones on the far right. But you'll see the ones in the center are not being affected at all, even though the first Hydra is already gone. So that's one of the few mistakes people have to be very careful about in terms of placing their Hydra down with other people's Hydra. Now, to maximize Hydra damage, your Hydra damage is actually based off of your stamina, alchemy mastery rank, clay alchemy, and of course your cylinder. Now, the best way to maximize your damage is to use a tower cylinder right after you drop down your Hydra. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind though, the damage here is much different. Here I'm using a Ego Tower Cylinder versus a regular Tower Cylinder. So if you compare the difference between an Ego Tower Cylinder versus a regular Tower Cylinder, the damage is way different. And the reason behind that is because an Ego Tower Cylinder allows you to increase the clay efficiency on your cylinder. And unfortunately, since there aren't any other way to maximize clay efficiency, the Tower Ego is probably the only way to make your Hydra much more stronger. At least for now. And that was basically my Hydra transmutation video. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. If I forgot anything, or if you guys want to share your own training methods, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And like always guys, stay awesome! Oh yeah, Saga 4 is good too. Saga 4 at the dragon part, you know, for training.